One team that is also fighting for their spot in the playoff picture is the Golden State Warriors, another Charlotte connection. The Seth Curry Warriors, finally healthy, playing together. And also in a weird way, the beneficiary of some tanking here on Tuesday night, Dan, Doug Christie ordered the Kings up one with 3 minutes to go to foul Seth Curry on purpose. I'm going to say that again. Seth Curry, one of the greatest shooters to ever come through the NBA. At the end of this game, they decided, the whistle is blown because they fouled Seth Curry on purpose to send him to the free throw line. And the crazy thing is, it kind of worked. He made the first one. Look, Eric Lewis, the referee's like, wait, what is happening? Draymond Green's calling for a take foul, not a take foul. Murat Kogut says, goes to the free throw line, makes the first one, misses the second one, and Draymond Green after the game was just like, what is going on here in the league? He was asked about it. I think Anthony Slater asked him about it after the game. Reporters after the game were like, what do you think about tanking? And of course, that lent itself to a long monologue from Draymond Green about tanking, saying you got to find them, got to find these teams. If you're happy taking away our money, the players, when we do something wrong, you should probably do it with the teams. He makes a pretty good point that like only 2 fines this season right out the gate and then nothing ever since. But that kind of obscures what's also happening here, which is the Warriors have Steph Curry back and he's very good. And KOC, when I was on a show a couple of weeks ago, Dan, he was like, the Warriors are done. They're dead. They're not going anywhere. And I'm sitting here being like, if Steph Curry is healthy and if he's still playing for the Warriors, I'm not going to count out the Warriors with Steph Curry. I just won't do it. And yeah, it might be the case that they'll get smoked in the first round. But the way that he's come back from his knee injury last couple games, coming off the bench, I should add, Steph looks like Steph. And Dan, I feel like this is an important development as we get ready for the postseason, is that the Warriors have Steph again. No Jimmy Butler, no Moses Moody, of course. But when Steph is playing this well, if you're playing against that guy.
Well, also, first off, I mean, KOC took a firm stance and just decided something was over and someone should, blow it up and start over. No, that doesn't sound like him at all. Yes, Stephen Curry, imagine that. Looks like Stephen Curry, 46 points on 33 field goal attempts in his first 2 games back. The Warriors have won his 51 minutes by 18 points. Pretty good. That's the way the Warriors want to work, right? Like, and to your point, when Steph's been on the floor this season, they're a net positive, outscored opponents by 2.9 points per 100. They've scored at a top 6 rate, like 119 points per 100 possessions. With him off, they get outscored by 2.6 points per 100. They score like a bottom 6 offense. He's the difference. I mean, in this case, in like point differential between like a 34-35 win team and like a 47-48 win team, which is the difference between out of the postseason and like fighting for a top 6 seed, right? And so that's like this season point differential. Broadly, we know the difference between the Warriors mattering and not mattering is whether Stephen Curry is on the floor and ambulatory and fully available to do what he does. And no matter who else is around him, whether that's, going back to Harrison Barnes and, Andrew Bogut or now it's Brandon Pajemski and, D'Anthony Melton, like if he's out there, they got a shot. Now, you mentioned some of those projection sites, playoff status. We look at, ESPN's BPI. We look at other different metrics. Like those projection systems give them a very small chance of making it out of the play-in and like through round 1, maybe like a 15-20% chance of getting out of the play-in from the number 10 spot. But then like going up against OKC in round 1, yeah, they're going to be a fairly overwhelming underdog in that scenario. But the whole point, the Warriors talk about it year in and year out, like get to springtime and have an opportunity to play meaningful basketball, right? Now, your definition of meaningful may vary and how different people see, like, is getting out of the play-in for whatever the 4th time in 6 years or whatever it is for Golden State, is that meaningful? Or is it only meaningful if you got a shot to go all the way? I mean, my guess is Stephen Curry wouldn't have come back if he didn't think that being able to play in some kind of postseason game at this stage in his career was not meaningful because, we watch him do it and doing it the way that he's doing it. He's 37 years old. Who knows how many more of these Steph's going to have. When there's an opportunity for you to go compete for something and try to win something, you go after it. And that's kind of the way he's been wired. And Draymond certainly is wired. Steve Kerr is wired. It's been kind of the thrumming undertone of this entire Warriors era. It's not just about how cool the jumpers are. It's about what they want to compete for. They want to compete for this. And if you are in those, play-in spots, I think you'd much rather see a Warriors team where it's Brandon Podziemski taking 25 shots a game than Stephen Curry taking 25 shots a game.
It is kind of crazy that we're still in the year 2026 talking about Steph, talking about LeBron, talking about KD and Kawhi. Like in that little play-in bracket, we have the Clippers at number 8, the Blazers at number 9, and the Warriors at number 10, which means there is a possibility that we're going to get the Clippers in the 7 and the Warriors at the 8, which would mean that KD, LeBron, Steph, and Kawhi would all make it into the postseason, which is relevant because Ben Rohrbach over at Yahoo Sports, he wrote about this topic is we should probably make note that we're seeing some of the best age later years careers ever all happening at the same time, where LeBron, of course, the best age 41 season, Kevin Durant, the best age, 37 season for KD.
Yep.
And then Kawhi Leonard is 34, turning 35 this summer in a couple months, and Steph Curry 38. It's we've been talking about this story for the last decade, Dan, is like, what does the NBA do after the KD, Steph, LeBron era winds down? But they're still alive and kicking, and the Lakers are going to lean on LeBron so much more now. So in a way, like they're not just here and playing on the last, running fumes of their careers. They're super important. Steph Curry coming back is now a very scary thing for the Blazers that I've got 2 more games left on the season. And it feels like to me that this is not a great, well, we've got tonight 3 games. Tonight, Spurs, on Friday, the Clippers, which is basically a playoff game. And then the Sunday finale is against the Kings. So 3 games, but not a great development that Steph Curry is looking as good as he is. And there is a possibility we're going to get all 4 in the playoffs and playing very meaningful roles for their team. So the idea that they're at the end of their careers, it's pretty awesome. I'll just say that.
Yeah, and not just that they're performing well for their age, but like performing well full stop, right?
Yeah.
I think it's a pretty safe, all 4 of them made the All-Star team. You can quibble over whether LeBron should have made it initially or whatever, but like all 4 of them were All-Star caliber players. It wasn't like a laughable idea that any of them were in the All-Star game. If not for injuries to LeBron and Steph that took them out for longer periods and then resulted in them not being eligible. Could have certainly had all NBA argument for at least one or 2 of those guys. Kawhi, I think and KD, we talked about them last week in the like all NBA ballot, MVP ballot discussion. They are all NBA locks. The question is like, how high are they going to get? And I think the cool thing is, you mentioned we've had that conversation of what is the NBA going to look like once these guys sort of sunset and move on. And so we're seeing like that. I mean, we've gotten our answer to that. It's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. It's Victor Wembanyama. It's Nikola Jokic. It's Luka. Like there is a swarm of like an upsurge and a swell of incredible talent from all over the globe that is becoming, that are household names and persistent appearances in the postseason and deep playoff runs. And we get to know these guys as household names at this point, while also still being able to see them go against still excellent versions of these players who defined the first, 15, 20 years of this this millennium, the last decade of NBA basketball. It's super rad to see because it's not just like a passing of the torch. It's like, you got to come take it because I'm still awesome. I think that's like, there are many bad things to talk about in the NBA, and Adam Silver winds up having to talk about all of them every time he has a press conference. However, there's also really good basketball happening and cool stories like you get to see the rise of this new era of superstar while we still have these other guys that are able to go toe to toe with them on their best night. And so like, that's, yeah. I mean, would you pick any of those, the older superstar led teams over SGA's Thunder, Wembanyama's Spurs, Jokic's Nuggets? Probably not, but like you get to see it. And that, I mean, that's super cool. Like not exactly a fantastic piece of analysis. I think that's rad. And I think it's cool that we are in a position where thankfully at this time of year of all, there are many players who have not reached this time of year healthy, that we are able to head into this point, knock on wood, throw salt over your shoulder, whatever you got to do, with all of those guys, not only like upright and moving well, but looking awesome. That's a pretty special thing. And, who knows how many more of them we get. So it's pretty, it seems like it's worth celebrating this one.
One thing that's really cool is that even though the Warriors' upside this postseason is way down without Jimmy Butler, it also means more ISOs for Steph Curry just doing Steph Curry things because they don't have Jimmy to kind of set him up in a lot of the offense. And Draymond's still there, so it's not like they have no playmakers next to him. But I loved watching him go at KD in that season opener or his return. He had 6 ISOs in that game against the Houston Rockets, which is very unlike Steve Kerr and Steph Curry in this era to have, hey, Steph, go create, go do this, rather than go run off the ball. We're going to pin downs and we'll set you up that way. So in a way, it is kind of like this, not swan song for Steph Curry, but it does seem like without Jimmy Butler, Steve Kerr is fine with asking Steph to just create on his own, which is something that a lot of people have been clamoring for, is like running high pick and rolls with Steph and having him try to take people off the dribble. And he still can do that at a high level. And the good thing is no back-to-backs in the postseason. So for Kawhi, for Steph, hopefully they get fresh legs if they make it into the postseason. But that's one thing I'm looking forward to is either of those two guys making it and still having one big run in the postseason. That would be really fun.